Take me to my own illusion, a traveling circus of true love when we were real.
Hello, dreamers. My name's Lisa, and I'm the Dreamwork coach. Today, we have a super special guest on today I'm so excited about. Her name is Kristin Clark, and she is a Nashville artist and musician who gains her inspiration through her dreams. Her debut album, River of Mist, was inspired by her dreams, and it's available on iTunes and Spotify. It's mystical and enchanting, and her songs and paintings can easily transport you on a dreamlike journey of your own. Kristin believes that dreams are a source of creativity that we can all tap into. And she's here today to share her story with us and also give us a few tips and pointers for how we can bring creative gifts back from our own dreams. So thank you so much for being here. It's nice to have you.
Thank you so much for asking me.
So to get started, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your art and your music, and like how long you've been doing it and what kind of got you to where you are today in Nashville?
Sure. So the art and the music for me are like, they've been ways that I've been able to just express my heart and my soul. And it's been a way for me to let love, express through me, and to let stories come and live through me. I think they started initially because I was really in a dark place and I needed to find a way out. And without really realizing it, when I reached for a paintbrush and I reached for the guitar in my little apartment in New York City when I was pursuing acting, I was finally turning towards kindness to self, and I was turning towards a path of healing. And so once I picked up those tools, it was like they were these powerful instruments that allowed things that I carried in my soul that I had no idea were there to come forth. So I got shivers when I said that, but yeah, I mean, it's so magical to let yourself be inspired, because it just feels like you're hearing voices from a deeper world that are calling you because they want to come and be created. And I feel like I don't have access necessarily to all that in my waking consciousness, in my ordinary mind. But when I go in, I have this relationship with remembrances and people and beings and guides and allies that I didn't know about in waking reality. The art has been a little bit different because I have been trained since we moved to Nashville as an artist. So I do approach it from a technical point of view as well as a magical point of view. It kind of can't help but be magical. Just when any of us create, from our soul, it's just so crackling with magic. So yeah, that's both of those things bring me so much joy. And we moved to Nashville about 17, 18 years ago. My husband is an incredible musician, and we moved for him because at that point, even though music led me to him, I had buried it. I had gone and found him to teach me how to play guitar, and then there he was with a PhD in guitar, and all his friends were master musicians, and I just started turning in on myself and listening to that shadow aspect that was like, it's too late, you're too old, you don't know, you don't do that. So I did bury that, and I focused on the art, and we moved to Nashville for him. And so he's, flourished in his own right as a musician and producer, and he produced my record. About, I guess it was 7 years ago, I finally, after the babies grew up, I said to him one night, it was just starting to rise up, back up in me, and I asked him if he would produce the record. And so we started doing it.
That is so cool. Like, talk about chiromancy and the stars aligning and, meeting the right people at the right time. And I love
it. Yeah, and it still is so magical with him. He's just, we've grown together, and he always saw me, before I even knew my own magic, he saw me that way.
Oh, that's love.
And
I love it. Oh. So you and I are both students of Robert Moss. That's how we got connected, was in one of his classes. And Robert teaches active dreaming. And one of the main ideas behind active dreaming is that we can bring gifts from our dreams, from the dream world into this world. And that seems to be very natural for you. It seems to be where you're getting your source of creativity for your music. And I wonder if like you have a special process that you use to like kind of interpret the gifts you're getting from your dreams into music or artwork. Do you have any special processes you could share with us?
well, I can tell you what I do. It's so organic. It's not a formula that I follow, but definitely listen to your dreams, have a dream journal, write them down, do the lightning dreamwork technique that Robert teaches, Robert Moss, because it is so sacred and powerful and quickly having you understand what you've been given. So you know when something in your dream is super juicy, it's just packed with emotion, sensory things, colors, fabrics, smells. And I think all of us we want to do something with it. We intuitively know that there's magic in it. And so when I started writing a song, I had no idea what I would write about. But I think then you ask the deep question. It's like, well, what would I write about? And I always went to that realm of the deepest part of my soul that I could contact, which we mainly contact in dreams, if we're not totally open and receiving like visions during the day. So it just was organic that as I would think, what will I write? Dream imagery would come forth because, poetry turns things on its head and it allows you to feel a thought. And my dreams were I didn't have to sit there and try to come up with something. My dreams were giving it to me. So what I would do for those who are looking to do that is just really trust the process that spirit is taking you on, because that's what I did. I had no idea, but I had learned a few chords on the guitar. I had loved to sing when I was young. So I would just maybe write a poem about a dream. And then I would look at that poem and start writing, and the words would flow in different ways that would, be in song form. And it was just a step-by-step, like blindfolded process. I didn't know, but I did honor and pay attention to my dreams always. And that was the fodder, that creative dough for all of the songs, most of the songs, and the art too.
That's amazing. Yeah, I have to second what you said about the lightning dreamwork process. Because not only does it help you figure out like what your dream is trying to tell you, but that last step is, what are you going to do with this now?
Yes.
That's the key, I think, that ties it into, bringing those gifts forward. I was just listening to your album actually, right before we got on here one more time. And it's so dreamy. Like, it feels like a dream, like to listen to it. Like it sounds so cheesy, but it feels like a dream. It gets you into that. It gets me anyway, into that like place, that same feeling of dreaming. And I can tell that's where you were when you wrote it. Like you take us on that journey with you, and it's amazing. I love it.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm so glad. And, I didn't know that I was doing that when I started writing all the songs. It was just like, this is what comes out the way it comes out. And they do come out like, dream journeys, soul journeys, shamanic journeys. And it's just been so fun because I didn't know about shamanic journeying when I started writing the songs. But it led me to this community of people that are powerful dreamers and journeyers. And of course, Robert, who's really connected me with so many powerful, beautiful dreamers who could get the music. I don't know if everyone could or not, but these people do really deeply do. And so that's something I'm super grateful for.
Yeah, that's amazing. We would be your target market. 100%. Robert even plays your music before our classes a lot of the times. And that I was like, that's how we reached out to you. So I was like, that's beautiful. Like just gorgeous. There was something you recorded that almost just sounded like a mermaid singing, like a cappella. It was so gorgeous. I love your voice.
Thank you so
And your
much. Yeah, that
creativity.
was just awesome when you did that, and giddy, and I couldn't believe it. And
Yeah, it's awesome. So let's talk about dream snippets and fragments. So a lot of people who I've talked to and who watch this channel, they want to work with their dreams, but they can't remember anything. And they think there's just no way I could ever create anything meaningful out of my dreams because I don't remember enough of them. What would you have to say about that?
so I have dream snippets a lot. My husband has incredible recall. You start telling me a dream, and 10 minutes later, he's still telling me his dream. But I don't. I take what I'm given. I mean, sometimes I do, but a lot of the songs on the record came from snippets because a snippet is so packed. It's a golden nugget if you honor it and, inquire and dive into it and really seek to understand what it is, what is the gift in it. One of the songs on the record called Lullibies is about a little snippet of a dream I had with my mom, but it's funny because it also ties into the art. So when I started painting in my little apartment in New York City, for whatever reason, the only thing I wanted to paint were these little tiny black and white photographs of my grandmother in the 1920s with flappers, her flapper outfit and her hats and the cars. And I was like obsessed with my grandmother, and I painted her over and over again. And then my mom as well, in these beautiful little pictures from the 1940s. And so then I had a dream, probably at that time. And in the dream, my mom was wearing her white communion veil and dress. And I was a little girl the same exact age. We were like nose to nose, same height. And she was crying. And so I just took her in my arms and I said, "Don't cry. I'm going to be your daughter."
Oh,
And so that's what that song is about. And it ties in, possible reincarnation. Like, what if an aspect of me was her father who had died when she was little? And I was saying, "I'm coming back. I'm going to be your daughter." Like, it's
yeah.
okay. But that really lit me up, the thought of that. So I wrote that song, Lullibies. And that was just a snippet. And then another song was also a snippet from, in the day, I asked Universe, what should I call my record? Or should I call myself something different than my name, as a band? How should I do that? And then that night I dreamed the answer, which was, I was in a cafeteria with my husband's guys. They were like Brian's guys, who were master musicians, also spiritual masters, and they were beings from non-physical. They weren't actual people. And they just answered the question, and they said, "Well, we call you Pure Land." And that was it. That was the whole dream. And I woke up and I was like, "What's that?" Now my husband's Buddhist. He's been Buddhist since high school. That's his energetic line to God. And so I forgot about it. I was in the car line picking up my kids, and I thought, "Oh, I'm going to look up Pure Land to see if it's something." And so I Googled it, and all this stuff came down. And the first thing I clicked on, it said Pure Land, a celestial realm of sonorous delight. And I mean, I had no clue what it was even yet. I was like, well, that's awesome, but what is it? And it's just a sect. It's a kind of Buddhism practiced. And, it brought me new information. I was like, wow, I received that, and I'm thankful for that. And so I wrote the song Pure Land, which is also on the record. And it's the one sort of Eastern tradition leaning, because most of my songs are the Western mystery tradition. So yeah, even a snippet can bear great fruit if you honor it and play with it and dive into it.
Absolutely. I find that sometimes we only have snippets because it is all we're supposed to remember. It's like
Oh yeah.
compacting the whole dream into one moment, one really powerful thing that you remember when you wake up. And that's
that's powerful.
That's what I like to believe. And in my experience, that seems to be, because I can also go on and on for 10 minutes about a dream, but sometimes I just have like what you just said, like just this one memory that's really strong in my head when I wake up, and that's it. And they end up being the most profound, insights. So
Totally.
definitely.
Yeah, that's right on.
And I like how you touched on a little bit of dream archaeology there, where you got the Pure Land message, and then you did some research here in this world and found out all this stuff. I love when that happens. That to me is very like, it backs up my dream. It makes it much more real, because there's no way I would have known that. There's just no way. Where'd this come from? It's not coming from Lisa here right now. It's coming from a higher place. And I think that's so cool.
I know, me too. I love that when that happens. You just like, you're so connected to every single thing. And we get a little taste of that.
Yeah, I love it. I think that personally, I believe we dream and live very multidimensionally as well. So that story about your grandma, it almost made me cry. It's so touching. And I think it's extremely possible that in, the dream world, we can connect with people like that from the past and the future, and even our past selves and whatnot. So
I totally agree. I love that idea of, not a linear timeline. And I was sending this form of me showed up in a way that could be healing to her.
Yes.
And who knows when in time that happened, or it happened over all time, or it's still happening. And maybe it was when she was in pain, losing her father in her life, and that linear timeline where I show up and tell her in this other realm that I'm going to be her daughter. So it just points to so much.
I love it.
Possibility.
Speaking of all of this, I saw recently on your social media that you were playing a song about an elephant, and you were telling the coolest story behind it that kind of had to do with stuff like that. So I was hoping you could share that with us here today as well. Oh, it would be awesome.
Oh yeah. So the elephants, when I was a little girl, really little girl, I would play this game with the elephants. And I don't know how it was sparked. I have a vague memory of vintage paper dolls of a 1900s circus, but it was early 1900s. And I would feel, it's funny, when I would play a game, it was the same idea of like feeling a calling from another realm. Like, ooh, the elephants are calling. I'm gonna go play this game. So I'd go in my room and I'd make a tent. And you remember what it was like when you did imaginary play when you were little, where like you place one object somewhere and the whole room changes. So like this was this ginormous circus tent, and I was inside of it. And then my job was to take care of the elephants. So I was this little girl named Adele. That was important for some reason. And I was French, but I was in America, and I was given the care of the elephants. And like the love that I feel for them and felt from them in this game was just deep and profound. And there was a mama elephant, and she had a baby girl elephant, and she was like my sister. And so we had adventures, and eventually I learned to like teach them tricks. I do not condone the taking of wild animals from their natural habitat. But so in my dream, I was just the one that loved them in the circus. And it was super fun, wonderful, powerful playtime. And then I stopped playing that game, but I kept dreaming of the elephants through the years. I would have a recurring dream, not the same dream, but I would meet them, and we would be like aging at the same place.
Oh, wow.
So I would come in and have a dream where like I was there for the birth of my sister baby elephants. She had a baby, and I dreamed that I was there for that. And other dreams like that, just on and off through the years, but super lucid dreams, really vivid dreams that just filled me with feeling, emotion, love, gratitude to where, now I believe I'm living a parallel life as this girl in the circus. So then, I didn't dream always of the elephants, and I kind of forgot about them. And then my youngest son, I was reading him a book called The Magician's Elephant by Kate DiCamillo. Her stuff is so magical. And in the book, there's not a circus, but there's an elephant, and there's a boy who's an orphan who's searching for his sister, who he was separated from when they were really, really little. So I'm getting all these sort of like pings when they talk about the elephants as I'm reading to my son Colin and remembering my elephants a little bit. And then I tuck him in and I get in my bed and I turn on the TV, and PBS is playing this documentary on Barnum and Bailey and the birth of the circus like in the early 1900s. And then I was like, oh, and I watched that again, just feeling the sort of like electric force start of what will eventually be inspiration and just embrace of magic. And then, I go to an Indian restaurant and the owner hands me a little Ganesh keychain that's an elephant. And then I'm reading to my son the next night. And in that night, he finds his sister in the book, and his sister's name is Adele.
Whoa. Wow.
And I have no idea what that means, but it was so powerful, right? Maybe you have an idea of what that all means, but it's definitely just clicking into greater powers. So then I knew that I wanted to write a song about it and honor it in some way because it was so powerful. And I think it took me about another year or two, but one day I eventually sat down, not knowing what song was coming, but it was the elephant song.
Oh my gosh. I love that story. I would think, would you like to hear what I think may be going on?
Yes.
So I always jump right to it's real and multidimensional. I never when it's something like that, I don't mess around with some symbolism, So right. If it were me, I would wonder, I would also think that you may be experiencing a parallel life through your dreams and synchronicities. And the fact that you had forgotten about it for a while and then it all came back at once would make me wonder if that parallel life version of me needed me now, or maybe either she needs my help now or she has something for me right now, that we need to connect there. So since you're living, parallelly through, the world and you're aging even in those dreams, I definitely, that's where I would go with that thought.
I love that. I love that. And I'll play more with that now that you said that, because that feels so right.
Yeah, that's what I would think. And I can't wait to hear how that goes. But are you willing to play this song for us today too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yay. All right. So Kristin's going to graciously play us the elephant song that she just talked about.
Oh, burning slowly, do I glow when my soul dreams past all the graves and homes? We were a traveling show, and my dress was a constellation of stars, and elephants followed the light of my heart. Take me to my own illusion, a traveling circus of true love, when we were real. Lift me up to the heights of the big tent. I don't recall how it all went, but it was real. And I was watering elephants. I was watering elephants. of the whistle, then the hush and the whisper, everything flying past, lulled by the hourglass, and in the tent, a wish turns to doves in my hand, and elephants light up the night with a dance. Take me to my own illusion, a traveling circus of true love, when we were real. Lift me up to the heights of the big tent. I don't recall how it all went, but it was real. And I was watering elephants. I was watering elephants. Winding our way to the shore, the wind came to welcome me home. They could all swim in the water, and I fell asleep. She told me my fortune in rhymes, and brambles and riddles. The elephants swam off to find treasures from the deep, and left them at my feet. Do I shine? Can you see me? How you dazzle me, how you thrill me, the queen of imagining, choosing our favorite dream, when we danced in a constellation of stars, and elephants followed the light of my heart. Take me to my own illusion, a traveling circus of true love, when we were real. Lift me up to the heights of the big tent. I don't recall how it all went, but it was real. And I was watering elephants. I was watering elephants. I was watering elephants.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's such, I mean, just a gift for you to share that with us. I love it. Thank you. So what is the name of that song?
It's called Watering Elephants.
And that's not on this album? Because
it's not on
it must just sound so familiar because I heard it on your channel.
On Facebook,
on Facebook. Yeah, I love it.
Thank you. It'll be on the next record.
That's awesome.
And we'll start recording that soon this year.
Oh, that's exciting. Yay. Yeah. This is Kristin's CD that's available right now that you can buy on iTunes or Spotify. It's called River of Mist. And if you want to share where people can see we'll get into your artwork here in a minute, but if you want to share your website and where people can find your artwork as well, that would be awesome.
Sure. So my art website is KristinClarkArtist.com. And I sell my work at Richland Fine Art here in Nashville. It's a beautiful gallery owned by Clay Whitelaw. And I also sell out of my private studio. So I can sell through contacting me in any way.
Awesome. And I'm telling you, her artwork is gorgeous. So we're going to get to that here in just a second. Okay. So now that we know where everyone can find your artwork, I would love it if you could share with us maybe your favorite piece of artwork and the story behind what inspired it.
So a favorite one is hard to choose, but I paint little boys all the time because I have two little boys. One of my favorite pieces is actually one I did of a friend with her little baby boy, and she's holding him up in the sunlight and she's kissing him, and it's called Sun Kiss, S-U-N Kiss. But I've painted so many of my own little boys because, they were right there. I had them as these gorgeous models. And through the years, I've had them dress up in little vests and caps and sort of old-timey outfits, and did photo shoots, and then painted paintings of them. And I don't know when, but recently I was thinking about how back when I was in New York City, I had another dream that would recur. And it was where I had two little boys that I kept in a drawer under my bed. And it was like a trundle drawer. Or maybe I didn't keep them there. Maybe that was just their portal in, right? But in my dream, I would take them out and I would take them to like the park. We would lay on the grass and just be together. And one of the big feelings of the dream was just holding hands with them. And then I had these two baby boys. So I dreamed that several times in New York, stopped dreaming it, got married, had my two baby boys, painted all these paintings of them. One's called My Heart, where I'm holding my son Colin, and there's all these heart shapes in there. Didn't plan that. But I was with them hanging out one day when they were about 7 and 5 years old. And we were just talking about stuff, for some reason, talking about when I was in New York. And I was kind of a little bit of a mess at that point, trying to get myself together. And I said that to them. I said, maybe mommy I was trying to get it together so I could meet your dad and we could have you guys and bring you into the world. And then my son, Devin, who was 7 or 8 at the time, he was like, Mommy, I just got a message from God. He said, when the baby is growing in the mommy's belly, the spirit isn't in the physical form yet. It like comes and goes. It's like in another dimension holding the mommy's hand. And then he said, like when we dream and we go to different dimensions. So, so if you unpack that, I was dreaming of holding his hand, when I was in my 20s, holding my baby's hands in another dimension.
Yeah.
And then he goes and he says that when he's 7 years old.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's amazing. And I mean, that is in line kind of like the dream you had about your grandma, like in a different time and dimension and space, like your son's doing it too. It sounds like that's amazing. I have a question that, as a mom who dreams, how do you interact with your kids in their dreams? I'm just curious, like, do you guys do dream work together or?
So I don't push it because I feel like anything that I push on them, they will reject. And they're both very much that way. It's like, I can't make them do anything. Sometimes everything's in alignment and we're having a glorious dream share. I used to encourage them to keep dream and gratitude journals, and they did. But we've done things through the years, just fun things. Because of Robert Moss, I know what to help them with if they have nightmares, right? And we have this beautiful neighbor who she made them pillows one year. And she took a drawing, and I had them draw something that was scaring them in their dream, just to draw it out. We could either burn it or make friends with it. And so Devin drew a dinosaur, and Colin drew this funny face guy that had these antennas and this electric wave going between the top of his head, between the antennas. And she made them into pillows. She sewed them with those pictures of something that had scared them but had become friends. And so they still have those pillows that they have in their rooms and on their beds. But I don't push it on them. It just happens when it happens, but it happens pretty regularly where I'm like, did you have a dream? And they'll tell me or not. or I'll share with them what my dream was while they're trying to, look at their phones now.
Yeah.
Put down the phones and tell them my dream and share with them the lightning dreamwork technique, which is just, it's so graspable. It's so easy to play with and get something out of it really quickly. So we do that on occasion.
Oh, that's good. I think that's
Yeah.
great that they're, growing up in such a creative and dreamy family. I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
So we kind of touched on this earlier, but I just want to ask again, if you have any tips or insights for other people who are looking to bring like creative gifts back from their dreams, is there any advice that you could give us out here who we want to turn our dreams into artwork or music or?
Well, I think intention is really strong, and so is gratitude. So no matter what my dreams give me, and they don't always give you big, beautiful, time traveling, multidimensional dreams. Like sometimes they're really cryptic and confusing, but I try to honor them all and say thank you, and not be judgmental, not have dream envy of other people's dreams and think mine aren't fabulous, but to really just take whatever I've been given. And we know when something is juicy, like I said before. So when that something particularly might want to be turned into some kind of creation. And whether it's your art or a play or music or a book or poetry, I just think if you can reserve any sort of judgment, like for me, I wasn't a trained artist and I'm not a trained musician and no one taught me how to write a song, but just let spirit just open and let spirit through, right? Because you've got to know that you're offering the way that your magic and the insight from your dreams flows through you is a gift to the world. It is your unique magic and the world needs it. So, practically, I would just keep that dream journal, ask your dreams to come to you, ask spirit, find out who your allies are, ask for all the helpers to come in. If you have a particular longing in your heart that you are feeling compelled to create in a certain way, but you may feel like you don't have the training, I would just say, put that totally to the side. I mean, training in anything that you want to, but let it be just sort of come in these baby steps where you're creating, like the 5-year-old who's just so excited about what they got and what they have, and let things come in that way. I think it's just such a challenge for us to allow ourselves to create in ways that we may feel are bigger than our capabilities. And I just learned not to worry about that. But I did have to, it's constantly, I'm having to work through those shadow aspects that pop up that are like, you don't know, and you're not worthy. So, but I put that in the songs too. So I put that in the Dreamer song. The words are, what if I knew I was beautiful, I was strong? What if I knew I was fearless as the dawn? What if I knew I could fly to some faraway field and take any form that I needed to heal you? What if I knew that this is a dream? So, I was just reminding myself that consciousness is the source of all creation. And we all just have a unique pipeline to source. And if we decide to be courageous and generous and bring it forth in whatever ways we're guided, then that's really something the world needs your magic.
That is the best advice ever. I love that advice. And I'm glad you mentioned that song, because when I was just listening to your CD again, I was like, this has to be one of my favorite ones, because it's not only just about dreaming, but in waking life, if you just say that phrase, what if, like, how good can it get? Always think that, like, well, what if it all works out? What if this goes great? What if this is exactly what someone else needs to hear? I think that that's such a great way to live your life and stay in contact with that, source of creativity that we all have.
Yes, it is. And we need to practice it because I think the negativity is something that permeates. So to be really intentional with, no, what if it matters that I share my heart? It matters.
Yeah,
So,
it matters. I love it. I think that as we wrap up the video, I'll play that song from your album so that everyone can hear it. I just love it so much. But before we wrap it up, is there anything else you'd like to share? Do you have anything exciting going on to share with us or anything like that?
well, one thing that's exciting is just the community that I'm in and how everyone in my community, plus my husband, who's, my husband, are these masterful, magical creators. So I am going to be creating some dream song workshops with a bunch of friends of mine who are another friend who is a certified coach with Robert Moss. And my friend, her name is Maria Brannon, and my friend Karen Renee Robb, she's like the drum lady of Nashville. She has just beautiful gatherings that she holds that are why I was able to share my voice in the first place, was because I said, I want to share this, but I'm so scared. And so then I set out to figure out ways that I could share my songs and my voice, and ended up finding so many soul friends and beautiful wild sisters who are just really walking the walk and stepping into their power in these really loving, authentic ways. So I'm going to do some workshops with them that are based on Dreamwork and share the songs. And then my friend Jennifer Harvard has a business, and she does these gatherings throughout the year that are based around the Celtic turning of the wheel. And she had a goddess craft market recently. So a bunch of my sisters sold things. So I have all this paraphernalia, dream paraphernalia, that I'd love to share if that's okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So my friend Daisha, she has these little, what does she call them? They're a B-log, and then these little papers. So you write down your question for your dreams on the paper, and then you put it in the little slots here in the B-log. And so you're asking the bees to come to you in your dreams, and you incubate that question. And it's just such fun stuff. It's
nice.
And then another friend, she made this crow mugwort dream pillow. Her name is Julie Caldato. And then something else, I was holding it at the beginning. Here it is. Because I dream with my voice, I try to ask my voice what it needs, how I can be kind. That's been part of the journey. And I have a friend who made an oracle deck. And it's just this beautiful deck that I ask questions of. It's called Singing is Healing, my friend Leslie. And they're so magical. They're so filled with the power of their, intentional creating, that I use all this stuff to just really ground into the possibilities that the dreams can bring me.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing all of that with us.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Like once you start aligning more with your soul's purpose, you end up finding your tribe, and it sounds like you found yours, and you
find your tribe. And I couldn't mention all of them, but every single one is such a gift.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I want to thank you again for being here today. It's been so awesome having you on here and sharing your gifts with us. I'm going to put your website on the screen here so people can find you there. And everyone, make sure that you go find River of Mist on iTunes and Spotify as well. It's full of awesome, very dreamy music that you've heard here today. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I am
Bye.
a dreamer,
Bye.
Eternally wandering, and my traveling feet are bringing me back where I started. I have a bag of secrets and the most dazzling stones, and we'll never be parted. What if I knew I was beautiful, I was strong? What if I knew I some faraway field and take any form that I needed to heal you. What if I knew, what if I knew this was a dream? An heroic explorer, faithful friend by my side, clutching my bag of stones. We're in for a treacherous ride. Though I survived, my secrets all bailed on me. Betrayed by time and a ravenous sea. What if I knew I could gently row this boat? That every stone was a seed that already knows. Be an angel of mercy, a goddess, a king, a shepherd with time to receive prophecy. What if I knew, what if I knew this was a dream? Today I'm just me, queen of the fairies, and my only job is to heal the earth while making merry. What if I knew I was beautiful, I was strong? What if I knew I was hope to those who fall? That we live in the music, the flowers and trees. We're angels of mercy and the dreamer who dreams. What if we knew, what if I knew this was a dream? We are dreaming, we are dreaming. Life is but a dream.